Echoes of the Departed. Part 1, The Arrival. The train station stood solitary amidst the desolation of the night, its towering arches casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with the flickering lamplight. It was a relic of a forgotten era, a place where the echoes of the past whispered secrets to those who dared to listen. Few ventured here, for tales of its haunting filled the air like a thick fog. Within this lonely station resided two souls whose fates were bound by the twisted threads of the supernatural. One was Sarah, a weary traveler with haunted eyes that reflected the weight of her past. She had come to the station seeking solace, hoping to escape the demons that chased her through the dark corridors of her mind. The other was Thomas, the station's caretaker, a man whose existence seemed intertwined with the very bricks and mortar of the place. He moved with a slow, deliberate gait, his weathered face betraying the years of silent vigil he had kept over the station. On this particular night, as Sarah stepped off the train, a chill wind whispered through the empty platform, carrying with it a sense of foreboding that sent shivers down her spine. She glanced around nervously, her senses on high alert as she searched for a way out of this forsaken place. But Thomas was there, his presence looming like a specter in the darkness. He approached her with a somber expression, his eyes reflecting a wisdom that seemed far beyond his years. "Welcome to our humble abode," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "I am Thomas, caretaker of this station. And you, my dear, are a guest in our world of shadows." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she listened to his words, sensing the weight of their meaning. She knew then that she was not alone, that there were forces at play in this place that defied explanation. As Thomas led her through the labyrinthine corridors of the station, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following her every move. She tried to push aside her fear, to convince herself that it was just her imagination running wild in the darkness. But deep down, she knew that something was terribly wrong in this place, something sinister lurking just beneath the surface. And as they ventured deeper into the heart of the station, Sarah couldn't help but wonder what other horrors awaited them in the shadows of the night. Part 2, The Whispering Walls. As Sarah and Thomas navigated the dimly lit corridors of the train station, the air grew heavy with an oppressive silence that seemed to suffocate any attempts at conversation. Sarah's footsteps echoed loudly against the cold, tiled floor, each sound reverberating through the empty halls like a mournful cry. Thomas led her past rows of abandoned ticket booths and faded advertisements, their once vibrant colors now muted by the passage of time. The station seemed frozen in a state of perpetual decay, its walls stained with the memories of 1,000 journeys long forgotten. But it was not just the physical decay that unnerved Sarah, it was the palpable sense of unease that hung in the air, like a thick fog that clung to her skin and seeped into her bones. As they reached the end of a particularly long corridor, Thomas stopped abruptly, his gaze fixed on a rusted metal door that loomed ominously before them. "This is where we must part ways, my dear," he said, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Beyond this door lies the heart of the station, a place where the past and present converge in a tangled web of memories." Sarah's heart raced as she stared at the door, her mind flooded with a sense of dread that threatened to consume her. She knew that whatever lay beyond this threshold held the key to unlocking the mysteries of the station, but she also knew that once she crossed it, there would be no turning back. With a trembling hand, she reached out and pushed open the door, the rusty hinges creaking in protest as they swung open to reveal a cavernous chamber bathed in an eerie blue light. As Sarah stepped into the room, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if the very walls were alive with the whispers of the departed. She could hear voices murmuring in the darkness, their words echoing off the stone walls in a haunting cacophony of sound. And as she gazed into the depths of the chamber, she knew that she had stumbled upon something far more sinister than she could have ever imagined. For within the shadows lurked a presence, a malevolent force that watched her with eyes as cold and dead as the grave. And as Sarah stood frozen in terror, she realized that she was not alone in this place of echoes and shadows. Part 3, The Spectre's Embrace. As Sarah stood frozen in the dimly lit chamber, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest, the presence within the shadows seemed to coalesce into something tangible, something dark and malevolent. Before her, a figure emerged from the darkness, its form shifting and twisting like smoke on the wind. It was a specter, a wraith from beyond the veil of the living, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light that sent a chill down Sarah's spine. She tried to back away, to flee from the sinister entity that loomed before her, but her feet remained rooted to the spot as if held in place by unseen hands. The specter drew closer, its icy breath sending tendrils of fear snaking through Sarah's veins. She could feel its gaze boring into her soul, probing the darkest recesses of her mind with a hunger that sent shivers down her spine. But just as Sarah felt herself on the brink of despair, a voice echoed through the chamber, cutting through the oppressive silence like a beacon of hope in the darkness. It was Thomas, his voice filled with a fierce determination that seemed to defy the very fabric of reality. He stepped forward, his form bathed in the ghostly light that emanated from the specter before them. "You have no power here, creature of the night," he declared, his voice ringing out with a strength that belied his frail appearance. "This station is under my protection, and I will not let you harm this innocent soul." The specter recoiled at Thomas's words, its form flickering like a dying flame in the wind. For a moment, it seemed as if it would retreat back into the shadows from whence it came. But then, with a deafening roar, the specter lashed out with a fury that seemed to shake the very foundations of the chamber. It lunged at Thomas, its ghostly claws outstretched like talons ready to strike. But Thomas was ready. With a swift motion, he raised a hand, and a blinding light erupted from his palm, engulfing the specter in a brilliant cascade of energy. For a moment, the chamber was filled with the sound of 1,000 screams, the echoes of the specter's torment reverberating off the walls in a cacophony of agony. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the specter vanished, leaving nothing behind but a lingering sense of dread that hung in the air like a dark cloud. As Sarah stared at Thomas in awe, she realized that she had witnessed something truly extraordinary, something that defied all logic and reason. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw something else there, something hidden beneath the surface of his stoic facade. For within those ancient eyes, she saw the glimmer of a truth that sent a shiver down her spine. Thomas was no ordinary caretaker. He was a guardian of the shadows, a protector of the lost and the forgotten. And as Sarah stood in the heart of the train station, she knew that her journey was far from over. Part 4, Unraveling the Threads. With the specter vanquished and the chamber once again cloaked in silence, Sarah's mind buzzed with questions. She turned to Thomas, her eyes searching his weathered face for answers. "What was that thing?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. Thomas regarded her with a solemn expression, his gaze flickering with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. "That was but a fragment of the darkness that lurks within this station," he replied, his voice heavy with the weight of centuries-old secrets. "It is a place of echoes and shadows, where the spirits of the departed linger on in search of redemption or revenge." Sarah's mind reeled at his words, the implications sinking in like stones dropped into a bottomless abyss. She had stumbled upon something far more sinister than she could have ever imagined, something that defied all rational explanation. "But why me?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "Why was I drawn to this place?" Thomas regarded her with a knowing look, as if he could see straight through to the heart of her deepest fears. "You are not the first to be drawn to this station, nor will you be the last," he replied cryptically. "The spirits that haunt these halls are drawn to those who carry the weight of their own past, those who seek solace in the shadows." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine at his words, as if he had plucked the thoughts straight from her mind. She had come to the station seeking refuge from the demons that haunted her, but now she realized that she had unwittingly stumbled into a realm far more dangerous than anything she had ever known. But as fear threatened to consume her, a spark of defiance flared within her heart. She had faced down the specter and emerged victorious, and she would not let the darkness of this place claim her without a fight. With newfound determination, Sarah turned to Thomas, her eyes blazing with resolve. "I will not be a pawn in their twisted games," she declared, her voice ringing out with a fierce defiance that seemed to echo through the very walls of the station. "I will unravel the secrets of this place, and I will confront whatever darkness lies at its heart." And as Sarah stood in the dimly lit chamber, her spirit ablaze with determination, she knew that her journey was far from over. For within the depths of the train station, a mystery awaited her, one that would test her courage, her strength, and her very sanity. Part 5, The Haunting Memories. As Sarah delved deeper into the mysteries of the train station, she found herself haunted by the echoes of the past. Each corridor seemed to whisper secrets that sent shivers down her spine, each shadow concealing untold horrors that lurked just beyond her sight. With Thomas by her side, she ventured into forgotten tunnels and abandoned platforms, her senses on high alert for any sign of the malevolent spirits that called this place home. But as they searched, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes followed their every move with a cold, calculating gaze. It was during one of their explorations that they stumbled upon a hidden chamber tucked away beneath the station, its walls adorned with faded murals that depicted scenes of a bygone era. As Sarah gazed at the paintings, she felt a sense of déjà vu wash over her, as if she had seen these images before in a half-remembered dream. But before she could dwell on the feeling, a voice echoed through the chamber, sending a chill down her spine. It was a woman's voice, soft and melodic, yet tinged with an undercurrent of sorrow that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Who goes there?" the voice whispered, its words barely more than a whisper on the wind. Sarah turned to Thomas, her heart pounding in her chest as she searched his face for any sign of recognition. But he too seemed unsettled by the voice, his eyes darting nervously around the chamber as if searching for an escape route. "We mean no harm," Thomas called out, his voice echoing off the stone walls in a hollow echo. "We seek only to uncover the truth of this place." There was a moment of silence, broken only by the sound of their own ragged breaths echoing through the chamber. And then, with a soft sigh, the voice spoke again, its words carrying a weight that seemed to hang in the air like a heavy fog. "The truth you seek lies buried in the shadows," it whispered, its tone tinged with resignation. "But be warned, for not all secrets are meant to be uncovered." With that cryptic warning, the voice faded into the darkness, leaving Sarah and Thomas alone once more in the chamber of haunting memories. As they stood in silence, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of a discovery that would change everything. But whether that discovery would bring salvation or damnation, she could only guess. Part 6, The Dance of Shadows. Sarah and Thomas pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries hidden within the depths of the train station. With each step, they delved deeper into the labyrinth of corridors and chambers, their resolve unyielding despite the ever-present threat that lurked in the shadows. As they explored, Sarah's mind was consumed by thoughts of the voice they had heard in the hidden chamber. Who was she? And what did she mean by the warning of buried truths and forbidden secrets? But try as she might, Sarah could find no answers, only more questions that seemed to multiply with each passing moment. It was during one of their nocturnal excursions that they stumbled upon a room unlike any they had encountered before. Its walls were adorned with strange symbols and arcane sigils, their meaning lost to the passage of time. In the center of the room stood a solitary pedestal, upon which rested a small, ornate box crafted from polished mahogany. Its surface was etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and writhe like serpents in the flickering lamplight. With trembling hands, Sarah reached out and opened the box, revealing a collection of old photographs and yellowed letters nestled within its depths. As she sifted through the contents, her heart skipped a beat when she came across a faded daguerreotype of a woman with hauntingly familiar features. It was the same woman from the paintings in the hidden chamber, her eyes filled with a sorrow that seemed to pierce straight through Sarah's soul. But before Sarah could ponder the significance of the discovery, a cold gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the flickering flames of their lanterns and plunging them into darkness. In the blackness that followed, Sarah felt a sense of unease wash over her, as if the very air had grown thick with malevolence. And then, from the shadows emerged a figure, its form shifting and contorting like smoke on the wind. It was the specter, returned from the depths of the station to reclaim what was rightfully its own. With a blood-curdling scream, Sarah and Thomas turned to flee, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced through the corridors with the specter hot on their heels. But no matter how fast they ran, they could not escape the relentless pursuit of the darkness that lurked within the station's haunted halls. And as they stumbled into the darkness, their screams echoing off the stone walls in a chilling cacophony of terror, Sarah knew that they were running out of time. For the shadows hungered for their souls, and they would not rest until they had claimed their final prize. Part 7, Embers of Light. As Sarah and Thomas fled through the labyrinthine corridors of the train station, pursued by the relentless specter, their hopes of escape dwindled with each passing moment. The darkness seemed to press in around them, suffocating and oppressive, as if the very station itself conspired to consume them whole. But just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon, a faint, flickering ember amidst the sea of shadows. With a surge of desperate determination, Sarah and Thomas raced towards the light, their footsteps echoing off the walls in a frantic rhythm. As they drew closer, the glow grew brighter, casting a warm, inviting radiance that seemed to push back the encroaching darkness. And then, with a final burst of speed, they burst into the chamber bathed in the soft glow of dawn, their lungs burning with exertion and their hearts pounding in their chests. For a moment, they stood panting and gasping for breath, their eyes wide with disbelief as they took in their surroundings. They had emerged into a forgotten platform bathed in the gentle light of the morning sun, its golden rays illuminating the chamber with a sense of peace and tranquility. But as they caught their breath, Sarah and Thomas knew that their ordeal was far from over. The specter still lurked within the shadows, its hunger for vengeance as insatiable as ever. With a shared glance, they knew what they had to do. They could not allow the darkness to consume them, nor could they let it claim any more innocent souls. Together, they faced the specter head-on, their spirits alight with the fire of determination and defiance. With a fierce battle cry, they unleashed a torrent of light and energy that engulfed the specter in a blinding cascade of brilliance. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the specter vanished into the ether, its malevolent presence banished from the station forever. With the threat vanquished, Sarah and Thomas emerged from the train station, bathed in the warm embrace of the morning sun. Though their bodies were weary and their spirits battered, they knew that they had emerged victorious against the darkness that had threatened to consume them. As they walked away from the station, hand in hand, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her, a newfound clarity that had eluded her for so long. For in the depths of that haunted place, she had confronted her deepest fears and emerged stronger for it. And though the memories of their harrowing ordeal would linger with them for the rest of their days, Sarah and Thomas knew that they had faced down the shadows and emerged into the light, their souls forever entwined in the bonds of courage and friendship. And as they walked into the dawn of a new day, they knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that no darkness could ever extinguish the light of their indomitable spirits.